There's a weird rule in storytelling. The moment a couple becomes healthy, the writers just stop knowing what to do with them. Suddenly, the tension disappears, the drama disappears, and the relationship quietly fades into the background while the plot moves on to more interesting things. Which is why so many people believe something that actually isn't true, that healthy couples are boring to watch. But then there's Moxie and Millie, a married couple already deeply in love. No will they, won't they bullshit, no endless breakup arcs, no forced relationship drama. And somehow, they're one of the most entertaining couples in modern animation. So the question is, how did the show pull that off?
You have a good heart, honey. Just a fuzzy head.
For the people in the back who aren't familiar with the show, Hell of a Boss is about Blitz, an imp in hell who fucks a bird on a monthly basis in order to obtain a magical book that gains him access to the human world. Just roll with it. He founded his own assassination business with his adoptive daughter Luna, and two imps named Moxie and Millie are his employees. The show follows this group as they get hired by the damned to get revenge on the people they left behind. There's also a lot of trauma, some great songs, and of course, a lot of relationship drama. But we're not here for that. We're here for what is probably the healthiest relationship in the show, Moxie and Millie. Firstly, the two of them are quite different, which, right off the bat, makes them one of the more interesting fictional couples out there. A lot of fictional couples are built around compatibility, same lifestyle, same personality, same worldview, basically the relationship equivalent of two beige sofas dating. And while Moxie and Millie are quite similar in a lot of ways, they can also be very different. We get this in the very first episode when a kindergarten teacher spends her morning singing a song with her students, and halfway through the song she realizes that she forgot her hubby's birthday. So she decides to send him a happy birthday message with her claws. Unfortunately, while she was singing happy birthday, he was getting happy ending. This teacher then proceeds to have the most valid crash out in history.
Oh God, what have you done?
After which she dies and gets sent to hell. She then goes to Blitz for revenge, because it turns out, the bitch lived. The gang go to Earth to kill her, but while everyone else is totally cool with offing this woman, Moxie doesn't feel comfortable with that. And that's the point where we see one of the small but major differences between Moxie and Millie. Millie is not just a killer, she's not just good at it, but she loves doing it. Whereas Moxie, he's very good at his job and has moments where he also loves killing. But overall, you get the sense that he doesn't love it nearly as much as Millie does. Judging by the flashback of Moxie's life that we get in season 2, he probably got this empathy from his mother, seeing as she originally didn't want her son to become a killer. So Moxie definitely has a line when it comes to who he is willing to kill, but Millie doesn't. Part of what I really love about Moxie and Millie is that they can be so different without completely leaning into the whole opposites attract thing. It leaves a lot of room for the two of them to learn, grow, and be changed by each other. Not in a way where one forces the other to change, but just as a natural result of being in a relationship with someone, being influenced by them, and picking up the same habits and tendencies that they have. These differences leave a lot of room to create interesting plot lines for the two of them, even though they're starting where so many fictional couples end. The story also never treats these as flaws in their personality, and Moxie and Millie don't see this as a flaw in their relationship. That first episode ends with Millie saying that he has a pure heart, and that she loves that about him, despite her not liking what it sometimes needs him to do. Later in the season, we have Moxie saying that while he may be the weaker one of the two, he loves and admires his wife's strength. The two of them love and admire each other. Their differences are treated as a strength, not a weakness. Moxie isn't with Millie because she also experiences ethical dilemmas when it comes to the question of who to kill and who not. And she's not with him because he enjoys violence as much as she does. The two of them complement each other. That's the nature of their relationship, and they love it and each other exactly as is. And I haven't even started talking about how the two of them behave in their relationship and treat each other, so you know it's going to be good.
Together, we are a lethal combo.
One of my favorite things to do when watching Hell of a Boss is watch Moxie and Millie interact in the background. Because the second thing that this couple really have going for them are those cute moments together that go almost completely unnoticed. Once in a while, you'll have Millie just staring at Moxie, as if she's just kind of sitting there admiring him. You'll have so many moments where the two of them just reach for each other when there's really no reason to. These moments aren't because they're scared or because they miss each other, simply because they want to be close and enjoy being around each other. Even though there are some very passionate moments between the two of them. These small moments of them just wanting to be close to each other are really what make it feel like we're watching a young married couple who are crazy about each other. And the writers of Hell of a Boss understand that, and they seem to be paying very careful attention to Moxie and Millie, Like the moment when the rich guy wants to die. Millie says that it smells like the guy hasn't been out of bed in months. She takes a quick sniff and starts vomiting. Moxxie then immediately lets her lean on him and checks to make sure she's okay. This moment is a joke. It's supposed to be, old guy smells so bad that she vomits. Ha ha ha. Why the hell do we have Moxxie being this attentive? That moment didn't have to be there. We could have had the moment gross Millie out, have her throw up, and have that be that. But this idiot checks to see if his wife is actually okay, and seems concerned about her state of being, even though story-wise, the moment was a joke. Most of you watching this don't even remember this happening. That is how small this moment was, but it is so freaking cute. Moxxie checking on her when she vomits in the Sinsmas episode makes sense, because then it's meant to serve as a hint that she's pregnant. But here, it was completely unnecessary, and it speaks to how the writers treat their relationship, not as a connection built on huge moments, but just these small instances of consistent care and affection. However, that's not to say that Millie and Moxxie don't have bigger moments, because when it comes to each other, these two don't mess around. They would go to war for each other. If loyalty were a competitive sport, they'd be banned for juicing. The most obvious example of this is Millie. Any and every time that Moxxie gets in trouble or someone doesn't treat her husband right, Millie is ready to throw down. Doesn't matter if it's huge moments when his life is in danger or just Blitz being his usual charming self. Millie is usually a pretty chill person. No, actually, she very rarely gets angry. But the moment you throw Moxxie into the equation, you better start making peace with your god because you're gonna meet them soon. This woman single-handedly killed a kaiju with her bare hands. She fought her way through a government agency to save her Moxxie. She took down the mob, all on her own, just to stop them from forcing her husband to marry someone else. All of this to say,
This ass is mine!
yeah, and Millie isn't the only one who do anything for their partner. Moxxie is just the same. He just does it differently. Like the character himself, his moments are a lot quieter. For instance, the episode with Millie's parents. Moxxie spends the entire episode trying to impress them. He does everything from fighting wild animals to entering a competition that he is so likely to die in that people start betting that he will. Moxxie wanted nothing more but to show these two that he's worthy of their daughter and their respect. But all of that goes out the window the moment they mistreat his wife. For context, Millie's parents hired a guy named Stryker who wanted to kill Blitz's meal ticket. They managed to stop the guy before he does, but in the process, Millie gets hurt. So at the end of the episode, Millie's parents criticize her for allowing herself to be beaten by Stryker. Moxxie rightfully calls them out for this, noting that they hired the guy and that Millie is incredibly strong, so much so that she has enough strength for the both of them. Moxxie spent the entire episode walking on eggshells around Millie's parents, wanting nothing but their respect. But the moment they started berating his wife, he told them where to stick it. And this isn't the only time that Moxxie does this. However, the next one is infinitely more impressive. In the episode titled Aussies, Moxxie and Millie celebrate their 1-year marriage anniversary by going to the most exclusive restaurant in the Lust Ring. When they get to the restaurant, Moxxie is called to the stage by Fizzaroli to perform a song. He decides to sing one that he wrote for Millie, a song about them and their love. Honestly, one of my favorite songs in the show, and you should definitely give it a listen after this video. One thing that I feel goes unnoticed about this moment is the sheer absurdity of what happens in between. See, at some point, Asmodeus, the king of lust and the owner of the club, interrupts Moxxie's song. He and Fizzaroli start telling Moxxie to sing about something more lustful and less monogamous. And based on everything we know about Moxxie up until this point, with him being quite insecure and a bit of a doormat, you would expect him to fold like a bad poker hand. But shockingly, he doesn't. This dude is an imp, a creature that is just above hellhounds that are bought and sold like actual pets, and he is being told by the king of lust, a being that is seemingly on the same level as Satan himself and just below Lucifer in hell's hierarchy, that he should sing about wanton desire. But he decides to completely ignore this guy and just continues singing about his love for Millie. She later shows up, stomps on Fizzaroli, and the two of them just keep enjoying their evening like nothing happened. Millie and Moxxie's relationship has this level of, it's the two of us against the world, that it actually becomes fun to watch when someone tries to get between the two of them in any way. Romance anime fans will get the reference, but it reminds me of a film called Weathering with You. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you the short version. Japan is experiencing constant rain. During all of this, a kid named Horaka meets a girl named Hina, who has the power to bring back sunshine through prayer. Don't think about it too much. Eventually, they have to decide between Hina's life and having Japan be submerged in water. Spoiler alert, Horaka chooses her life over Japan. Overall, it's an amazing story by a legendary director, and you should definitely give it a watch. All of this to say that Moxxie and Millie remind me of Horaka and Hina in a way. Their love has this element of our love stands above everything else that I not only find adorable, but also very fun to watch. Their relationship should have gotten this song.
We already found love, hell, the rest is easy, baby.
That being said though, there is one tiny, minuscule, itty-bitty problem with their relationship. Millie's character is completely consumed by it. This is an issue that a lot of the female cast suffer from. Their characters are just heavily underdeveloped, and any interesting thing that happens to them or that they do eventually ties back to their male counterparts. I explored this in a lot more detail in one of my other videos, so feel free to check it out if you want more of my thoughts on the matter. However, as far as Millie is concerned, a lot of what she does eventually ties back to Moxxie, and occasionally Blitz. Like the episode where Moxxie and Millie go to a camp to take down a target, and Millie's singing, athletic ability, and overall badassery make her popular. As much as Millie's the one getting a lot of the attention in this episode, she talks about how good it feels to feel like someone important and that she matters. The framing of this episode focuses a lot more on Moxxie becoming jealous of his wife and learning to support her. The episode isn't really about Millie, it's just a lesson for Moxxie. In general, Millie's character hasn't got much attention in the series so far, and with her now being pregnant, it seems unlikely that that's gonna change anytime soon. This results in the relationship having this one-sided feel to it, even though it isn't one-sided. We have plenty of moments of Moxxie supporting his wife, saying that he's there for her and actually being there for her. But because we don't actually have Millie deal with her own issues, like everyone does at some point, the relationship ends up feeling very Moxxie-centric. Moxxie got to have his own story with his mob boss dad, and even though that did technically involve Millie, with him almost being married off, the focus was Moxxie's relationship with his dad, something that doesn't have anything to do with Millie beyond her being his wife and wanting to support and protect him. But Millie doesn't get any stories that are uniquely hers, which is a shame because it feels like a waste of such a good character. However, despite everything I've said so far, I do actually have hope for Millie. Because upon rewatch, I noticed something that I didn't pay much attention to the first time I watched the series. I realized that there was another time, besides the camping episode, that hinted towards Millie being her own character. In episode 10 of season 2, Millie and Blitz go to Earth to find a ghost. At this point, Blitz is in shambles over some relationship issues with Stolas. During this episode, Blitz and Millie have a heart-to-heart, and we get a flashback of how Millie and Blitz first met, and how she's changed over the years due to his influence. Millie talks about how she used to believe that the only thing she could ever be is a farm girl, or at best, a high-level thug, because she was born an imp. But by having Blitz in her life, by seeing an imp who didn't give a shit what anyone thought he could or couldn't achieve, she started to believe that she herself could be anything. The moment itself is very sweet and highlights the effect that Millie and Blitz have on each other. But when you combine this moment with everything else we've learned about Millie so far, as well as what she said in the camping episode, you start to notice something very interesting. Millie struggles with something that a lot of people who are very good at just one thing struggle with. She still very much believes that being a killer is all she's worth. In the camping episode, it meant a lot to Millie to have people see her as more than just a killer, for her to see herself as more than just a killer. And one thing I want to commend the writers for is the fact that right now, we as the audience also see Millie as just a killer. I don't mean that as a comment about how she doesn't have her own character, but instead, I mean that in terms of Millie's strengths and abilities, the main one is being an incredibly good assassin. Blitz and Moxxie are also good assassins, but Blitz is also a dreamer, a businessman, and Moxxie is a planner and a bit of a history buff. But Millie, the one thing that people associate her with besides Moxxie is her skill as a fighter. This could make Millie such an interesting character if they decide to explore this. Maybe during her pregnancy, you can have Millie take a step back from work, and all that time at home results in Millie having to answer one question. Who am I if I'm not a killer? This is where you could have Moxxie step in and try to help his wife answer that question, help her deal with her feelings of worthlessness, help her deal with her identity crisis. And by having Moxxie be the one to help her, they could show her each of them learn, change, and grow as a result of the other's influence. Similar to how Millie's outlook on what it means to be an imp has changed since she met Blitz. This would be such an interesting story to watch, and would do Millie's character a world of good.
This song is for my beautiful wife, a surprise for our first anniversary. I love you, Millie.
Overall, I love Eminem. Their love is adorable and has a level of realism despite the absurdity that goes on around them. They feel like equal partners that have a level of respect and admiration for each other, which is what makes them work as well as they do. They complement each other. The writers show their love in small moments. They fight for each other when it matters. And the show treats their relationship as a strength. And as someone who grew up watching Avatar, Danny Phantom, Miraculous Ladybug, Star Versus, stuff that is just synonymous with bullshit will they won't they plotlines, it's nice to watch a couple who start where all of those stories end and see what happens afterwards. Hashtag healthy couples on boring, bad writing is.